I'm the CEO of RJ Reliance. In this series, I'm talking with business owners, operators, HCM leaders, employees, partners, and industry experts about how work is changing. We'll look at people, systems, payroll, HR, time, integrations, operations, and yes, AI, but always from a practical business perspective. The goal is simple: understand what companies should be thinking about as they modernize how work gets done. Today, I'm talking with someone who has spent decades around the technical side of HCM, payroll, time, workforce systems, and integrations. We're going to get practical about what makes these systems work, where implementation struggle, and how AI fits into the bigger picture of data, processes, and connected systems. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Mitch Maddox. Mitch, can you introduce yourself and share the kind of work you've done in the HCM, payroll, time, and integration workspace?
I will, but Rob, that decades comment, I don't know if that was necessary, but appreciate you having me on anyway. But yeah, Mitch Maddox, I started my career in HR, actually as an intern, was interviewing for a job, and they asked if I wanted a job in human resources when I was applying for a job at UPS. And I asked, does that mean I have to work in the unair conditioned warehouse? And they said no. And I said, sign me up. I had no idea what I was getting into, started recruiting, then moved into employee relations, moved into a management position at UPS, and just laid a solid foundation, and then moved into HR systems, which I'm more of a geek at heart, but do a great job of translating between the two worlds, between the technical and the functional. I'm SHRM senior certified, but also been a developer, Scrum Master, things like that. And now I'm at a company, RateSmith. We're a rate calculation engine. So we do the calculations your payroll can't, is what we do, working before and after payroll. But that's a little bit about my background.
All right. Thanks, Mitch. So when you look back over the years, I won't say the decades, but over the years, how has the technical side of this industry changed, if you can sum it up? Because certainly over my career path.
Well, and I'll say, I think I missed the first part of this journey that I'm going to mention, but I think we're coming full circle, where we started with bespoke or custom solutions. And then you had more, when it came to enterprise software, you'd build everything internally. And then you started having some viable options that would work for multiple companies. And then moving into the SaaS world and highly configurable, and companies getting away from any customizations. And we'll see where AI takes us. I think it might be taking us back to where we started in a way, but we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I agree with you. The ability and the flexibility of artificial intelligence and the way it means to really produce systems and solutions that very much cater to the specific needs that our mutual clients have. I do agree. I think it is going to come full circle. We're going to see more of that. So moving into a little bit about integrations, right? So for business leaders who may not live in the technical details, why do integrations matter so much?
It's almost like asking, why do roads matter? That beautiful house you have in the suburbs or in the city, wherever you live, it doesn't do you any good either getting to the city or getting out of the city without the roads. And same thing for integrations. It doesn't matter how great your system is. If it's an island, it might be great for vacations or great for single use, but it's not going to be a place you want to live.
Yeah. And to that end, and I like your road analogy for certain, where do you usually see integrations create the most value for companies?
Well, and that's a great question, saving time and efficiency. And yeah, that matters, don't get me wrong. But I think the real value of integrations is the lack of errors and having a solution that actually you don't have duplicate entry, you don't have mistakes. And that saves companies more than they even realize. And it's interesting when you're pricing out integrations, how companies don't really understand how important these are for their solution.
Yeah. And I think this kind of leads to my next question, which is the clients not always understanding, or particular team members not fully understanding or appreciating the value. But when it comes to removing manual efforts or labor and ensuring compliance, those are always obviously very important considerations. Where do integrations tend to become harder than people expect, though? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, so I think the key with integration discussions is to make sure you're talking with someone who truly understands them and someone that you trust. Because a lot of times, especially payroll and HR organizations, they know their IT department's busy. They don't want to bother them. They're talking to a sales rep who maybe a very great person, but they're not the most technical. And especially if they're a younger sales rep, they're going to throw out APIs like it's some magic word and it just, oh, we've got APIs. And then everyone thinks you just check a box. Whereas that may be how we as consumers experience some API integrations, like if you're using Facebook to log into an application, I just click and it's set up, or using Apple Pay is a great example of an API for a consumer. But that's because the integration was built using those APIs. And someone had to build that integration for that website you're using that uses the APIs that Apple and the other side have. And being able to understand exactly what it is, as opposed to just going by what a sales rep who they're there to solve business problems. They're not there to solve technical problems. So it's not a criticism of them. It's just, it's outside their space. And you really want to make sure you've got someone. And I've seen you, Rob, when you're talking to customers and working with them on a project and being able to, your team advising them, having that external resource, if your IT department isn't available, is invaluable.
Yeah. You never know what you're going to get as far as their capabilities and how to guide them along that journey or path. Speaking about kind of technical challenges, what are the most common technical or even operational mistakes companies make?
So I'll see organizations that will put in a plan for an integration and then not realize that their solution maybe doesn't offer integrations, or maybe they've got a solution that is going to charge another fee, or maybe they need to be on a different license version than what they're on. I don't know if it's still this way, but I remember that back in the Salesforce days, that a certain level of license, you got CSV imports, and a certain level, you got access to the APIs. And then we're seeing that sort of pricing evolve, especially with AI, where you've got usage-based fees, and seen that with, I think UKG is doing usage-based pricing for their webhooks, for example. So really understanding what it's going to take beyond building the integration.
Yeah. And I think that in and of itself is one of the challenges with the technology, knowing what you're buying and what it's going to be able to do in terms of capabilities. How much is the process, the ownership or data quality a challenge in building out these solutions?
So understanding the business is the key. Honestly, the technical part, that's easy. And especially with AI assistance, that gets even easier. The writing the code is maybe scary to look at, but that's not the difficult part. It's truly understanding the business and how the business works, and understanding that when one customer says job, they mean an employee's job, and a construction company says job, they mean a project. And if you don't understand that basic difference, you're going to build a horrible integration for them.
Yeah, that would be true. So moving on into kind of data and system readiness, and ultimately further into the AI discussion, which I know the audience here is very much interested in. When you hear companies say they want to automate or use artificial intelligence in particular, what do you want to know first about their data and systems?
So honestly, I'm going to back up a little bit, Rob, and say that I want to know, the first thing I want to know is, what do they mean by AI, and what is their expectation? Because they may not even know. They may just know that they don't know. They were just told they can't buy a solution without AI, because then that kind of makes sense to check that box, but understand what they mean. But when it comes to and understand their data and their systems, you've got to understand the security controls, what endpoints are available with that solution. Is it a solution that even has a embedded MCP, or is it something that you're going to have to build something? And definitely, this isn't something just to go lightly in and think that it's just like using ChatGPT on your phone to find out what the best place to have dinner is. This is a little bit more intense, and you want to make sure you've got someone that you trust, whether it's your internal IT department. If they're not available, then a third-party consultant helping advise you.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that the challenge is that most people have come to know. I was at a conference recently where the topic was around AI, but the way that the speakers were really talking about it, it wasn't in terms of how AI was being embedded into their solutions, but more cosmetic. As you kind of mentioned, the comments were, hey, you got to get there and try AI, which people are going out and they're using ChatGPT to find recipes or these other lower hanging fruit items. But when it comes to really leveraging it for complex solutions within a business, it takes a little bit more thought and rigor around how you achieve that. What are signs that a company is, though, to that end, what is a sign that a company is technically ready for more automation? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So I don't know of a company that isn't in need of more automation other
Right.
than the best of the best, the Tesla, SpaceX, Nvidia, or et cetera. But even those companies, because of their scale, they probably have some opportunities. But it's amazing if you just sit down with a payroll professional. They're the most amazing people and put up with so much manual work that they
Yeah.
don't even realize is manual and could be automated. I could tell you many stories of situations where payroll people are spending hours every week on a manual process that would take me less than an hour to fully automate. It's there's there are just so many opportunities. And so I think every organization is ready for more automation. They just need the right partner to that's willing to understand. And it's not a solution. It's about a partner that's really going to understand how you do business and to help you on that journey.
Yeah. So expanding on the AI and automation, so how are you thinking about AI in relation to HCM systems and integration? So not only now, but in the near future, in terms of where you think AI is going to go in terms of capability and functionality.
So I'll be the this is one of those areas where I'll voice a little humility in that I've been so head down in RateSmith and working on calculations that I haven't thought about it as much. But when I, in the past, have thought about HCM, I get a little concerned from a compliance, actually more on the payroll side, from a compliance perspective and auditability and traceability. It's very different when you're using AI to help you with something like payroll that's going to flow into financials and you need the CFO is going to sign off based on your SOC 1. I don't know. I haven't how those certifications have kept pace. And I know they're working on ISO certs and things like that, but that's an area. But I think there's great opportunities today when it comes to the frontline employees, whether it's helping with scheduling, helping with performance reviews, helping managers with performance reviews, and those things are so basic and so easy to implement in most solutions. But there's greater minds than mine that are thinking of some interesting use cases, but some of them are so narrow that I think we might want to start looking at what are the right tools to use for HR scenarios. But that's the best I can offer at this point.
Sure. And I definitely would look forward to exploring that further with you on a future call for sure to get more thoughts and perspectives on that. Do you see AI changing the way integrations are designed, monitored, or supported?
Oh, absolutely. I think we all would love to see a day where I can just talk to Claude or ChatGPT and say, integrate my HCM with Blue Cross Blue Shield or whatever, and it just happens. From a technical perspective, we're close. The problem is we've got a highly regulated industry when it comes to healthcare. You've got to deal with testing. And so it's a matter of getting that comfort level. I think one of the keys to make that big leap is someone solving the testing hurdle so that it doesn't require a person to come in and validate those integrations.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the keys. But AI, no matter how great the tool is you have for integrations, if you don't have the right people that understand the business to guide it in the right direction, it's just like having the best, I don't know, the best power tools on the block. I'm not a carpenter, and so they're worthless in my hands. But a craftsman that lives down my street, he can use the cheapest thing from Walmart and make a masterpiece out of it. Same with AI.
Yeah, said, and my wife would voice the same concerns about me and power tools for sure.
But they're fun to buy, aren't they, Rob?
They are fun to buy. They are definitely fun to buy. So moving into kind of advice for leaders, if you were advising a CEO or a business leader or business owner before they started systems or integrations project, what would you tell them?
Make sure that someone you trust has validated both ends of that integration.
Yeah.
And that's just such a easy miss on someone. They just assume that it's possible. And then you get into a project and find out it's not possible, or there's an additional cost or something they weren't expecting. and then making sure that whoever it is that's going to build the integrations, yes, they need the technical background, but more importantly, they need to understand the business case. And if they don't, it's going to be hard for them to build what you need.
Yeah. No, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's a matter of the leaders really understanding what their needs are and being able to articulate that so that you can effectively build out those solutions for them. So moving into my last few questions here, after some time in this space, I'll say, what do you still think gets overlooked in terms of integrations or HCM? What are your thoughts there?
Well, when you're in HR because you're a people person. Because you're a people person, you're not really thinking about things from a systems perspective. And that's fine. You don't need to change your brain. That's why you're in the field you're in. But because of that, they tend to just overlook opportunities that are right in front of them where technology can help them. And by helping them free up their time so they're not dealing with that spreadsheet or not dealing with that manual process that could be automated or not dealing with data entry that could be dealt with an integration. And instead, and spend more time with the employees, spend more time with leaders and building and growing the organization.
Yeah, yeah, spot on. So this is an interesting question I have for you. Knowing that you're a technologist and that you follow things very closely in terms of industry trends, what trend are you watching most closely right now?
Gosh, this is an amazing week to ask this question. So, because Claude just released Fable 5, and it'll be interesting to see how this comes out. I think many of us were really excited about it when it was first announced ominously a couple months ago that they had this new model that could destroy the world.
Yeah,
And now they've found the right guardrails to release it, hopefully, unless a week from now we find out otherwise. But so note to future self. But it's amazing to see what Anthropic's doing, not on their payroll or anything, but just not only from a scale perspective, not only from the quality of what they're doing, but also just the carefulness that they're doing it. There's no law that forced them to do what they did. They did that on their own and implemented their own guardrails and
yeah,
worked with other leaders. And I think it's just amazing. And then we had the SpaceX IPO today. That's going to be interesting to see. Yes, there's a space component, but that's more of an AI business these
sure.
days. And yeah, it's just, these are exciting times. And I think that a year from now, I would love to talk again. And we're going to be amazed at how different things
Oh,
are in only a year. It's
yeah.
very different today than it was last month.
Yeah, exactly. So you're absolutely right that in terms of the pace of change, it's definitely happening at light speed for sure. So there'll be some bumps in the road, I'm sure, but like you said, I think it'll look completely different than it does now. All right, so moving to my final question. So if a company wants to modernize its workforce systems, what is the first technical or operational question they should ask before buying another tool?
A lot of times companies go into looking for a new solution because of an invoice, because of a dollar value, and because of a bill they're paying. I don't think any of us buy a new house or buy a new car because we want a different car payment. Maybe there are certain points in your life where that has to happen, but in general, you're doing it because you've got more kids. I need a bigger house. I need a bigger car. I have fewer kids and they're gone. So I want a faster car and a more fun car, or I want a more flexible living space where the kids will actually come back and visit me. Whatever you are in that journey, the point is that yes, price becomes a component, but that's not the reason you start shopping. And I think that's where a lot of companies start shopping, which is just crazy. I think they need to go revisit Simon Sinek about why and understanding why they want to start the project. What are they looking to accomplish?
Yeah, well, great words of wisdom from Mitch Maddox here. Mitch, I want to thank you for your time today. I really, again, as I mentioned, look forward to having future meetings with you. And as the pace of these trends or the pace of change continues to happen, that you and I are able to kind of stay on top of all that's going on and come back and speak a little bit more for the people in the audience who are most interested in it. But again, thank you very much for your time, and we'll be in touch.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate you
Yeah.
having me.